this important fight, and so they would also have to manage to find a blue ribbon to tie around the top hats, and it looks genuine, but the Blizzard is a plain obvious mistake. This is very noticeable.
It's chosen ground to settle for good and all. Who holds sway over the 5 points?
Also, his trousers, throughout the film, Bill the Butcher wears very slim trousers, whereas in the 1860s, especially America, was a fashion for very wide clothes in 1863. But they still had a reminiscence of the fashion from the 1850s and even 40s, where things were very slim. And since that is actually set in 1846, I think it looks accurate that his trousers should be slim. They look alright. It is hard to see them, especially since he wears a belt and a sash and then his waistcoat, so they look like they are narrow-waisted. In fact, they are not. They are probably high-waisted, but because of what he wears on top of them, they look narrow, and so it is hard to see them properly.
Natives born rightwise to this fine land, or the foreign hordes defiling it.
The ancient laws of combat, I accept the challenge of the so-called natives. You plague our people at every turn.
The priest's coat looks a bit modern, it looks a bit like something well in Matrix, but it's hard to judge. Might be accurate.
On this land shall be swiftly cut down.
And may the Christian Lord
So this is when they all throw their hats in the air.
against your Roman popery.
Just now it will be.
Prepare to receive the true law.
When they charge into one another. I'm going to skip through the film, so I'm actually going to skip to when the movie really begins, and it's set in 1863 or 62. Well, I think it is set in winter 62, so just before it switches to 63 is when the rest of the movie is set, and I will start playing. This is when Bill the Butcher is reintroduced. It is supposed to be 16 years later. And yes, this is very accurate for the 1860s, the stovepipe top hats.
When the Irish Brigade marched,
And a lot of working class I see are wearing caps.
city full of
Accurate again.
war chiefs, rich and poor.
So this is when Bill the Butcher actually wears another top hat. The other one is for sale right now. I think they just sold it for $3,000.
Where a city someday might be full.
And yes, these top hats are very accurate for 1862, but except are not made out of gossamer. They do not seem to be.
New York is the seat from the Union. They're trying to say we're no different than
What is accurate is, for example, there's a character wearing one of Bill the Butcher's gang members. He's wearing a red frock coat, and he has plaid, sort of tartan patterned trousers. And this was very much the fashion from the 1840s, probably all the way to the 1880 to some extent, but very much in vogue during the 1860s, because again they could do these very bright gaudy colors thanks to the 1846 established acetylene dye. And everything began to be dyed using this method, which was very efficient, very cost-effective, and the clothes, the dye would last so long that the cloth would wear out before the dye would wear out, if that makes sense.
A right warm welcome.
Now this is a scene where all these poor Irish people are coming off a boat. They look dirty, they look ragged, their clothes look like it is more earthy colored, more, perhaps they are meant to be vegetable dyed, even if they are not really generally, but they would have been vegetable dye because these would have been more sort of handmade back in Ireland in their farms. And so it looks accurate, I mean, as far as one can tell.
I only came 2 hours downriver from Hellgate.
They're wearing caps and the women are wearing shawls.
Why not? There were 1,000
They look dirty, poor, their clothes look distressed, even broken down, so it looks accurate. I like what I see, it looks very true.
Welcome to America, son. The long, arduous journey is over.
I just want to pause there. Boss Tweed, he is wearing a top hat, a black, typical 1862 stovepipe top hat in brushed fur, or has a plush fur. Maybe this is made out of gossamer. It is possible, because it's very hard to see in the movie, but it does seem like the crown to the top of the crown, it does seem very like it is very straight in a 90-degree angle, like I was explaining, and very flat on top, it seemed. Because at one point he turned his head 3/4 down, and one could sort of see the beginning of the top, at least a third of the top, and it seemed very flat. So it is possible that they actually use gossamer techniques for at least a good % of the hats. And so this is very good if they did. Very, very accurate.
New York loved William Tweed.
So again, for a movie like that with 1,000 different characters, it's very hard to discuss about everything, and especially I'm very much into what was fashionable, what was worn by the polite society, and this really concentrates on the working classes. Again, I will talk. Let us skip. There are not enough detachable colors. I mean, back then was the height of paper detachable colors which have been invented. What had been invented before, but have been mass-produced by a company called, what are they called? Reversible collars and cuffs. And they still produce under the name of dry goods collars and cuffs. They're not produced anymore. The original paper and the machines stopped working for some reason, but they still have old stocks that they produced a few years ago. And they were super massively popular. And what they would do is they would really create linen. So linen, L-I-N-E-N-E, is a cardstock, and to laminate on both sides previously starched thin linen. So the cardstock is imprisoned in the linen, and I have a collar made from that company I purchased 10 years ago. The collar was probably made 10 years ago using the same machines. And it is that. It looks, honestly, especially when it's cleaned and new, it looks genuinely like starched linen. Even up close, they reproduce a full stitching, and this is the actual linen I'm touching, but instead of the interlining, instead of being another ply of linen and the entire thing being starched, is actually cardstock, and thus they pre-cut those. And those were, in all the other types of collars, they even had probably steel collars, detachable collars, and even I think some companies were making simply cardstock collars without laminations that looked more fake, and they would last less wear. I could wear another one I had the exact same. I had one back 10 years ago, or 12 years ago. I had one for almost a full month in Dubai. I would wear it every day for at least a fortnight, and only after a fortnight it started really looking dirty, and it can still be blood. So it can last a minimum amount of wears. I mean, not just one wear. So to have all these characters clearly sporting 2-ply, max 3-ply, on semi-starched, clearly sewn-in collars, this will do for like Boss Tweed and his assistant and all, and the upper classes. But for most of them, like the barber Monk, they call him Monk McJim, he would most likely have worn a detachable collar, even detachable cuffs. He would certainly not have worn a pure white shirt with sewn-in collars and cuffs, because that is what the elite wore. That would been very expensive to maintain, especially to keep those clean and without any washing machines and badly available water. He would not have worn that on his everyday business occasion like he does in the movie throughout the entire film. This is completely stupid. The shirt itself looks superbly accurate. Again, in the movie, probably untucked, it would not be long enough and all, and probably the machine is machine made, but that does not show in the movie, so let's one be fair. But it is stupid to have him wear that. He would just not have worn that. So he might have owned one for his wedding, for very special occasions, but he would not have worn it on his business day. It makes no sense. And if he wore it, if it was done to the point of wearing it, it would not be all white and clean with the collar being super clean. I mean, he does not have the means, and the 5 points being horribly dirty, it would dirty immediately. So it just does not make even physical sense. And I have not spotted one detachable collar of any kind, even a genuine cloth, but removable collar, at all in that movie, or detachable cuffs or bosoms, and also they would have been very popular by then. Even